Hi, my name is Simon. I do this thing I'm calling primal body movement. This routine is a variation of kind of what I do when I'm in class. I like a hot vinyasa class. And I've had difficulty verbalizing what it is I'm up to. If imagine you were an anthropologist and you were looking to have insight into the way the body naturally moves. There's a lot of people doing this. I oftentimes get compared to animal yoga, and there's people doing primal, what I don't believe is primal yoga, but they call it primal yoga. I do a lot of squatting. Squatting's kind of what got me into this. I've been doing yoga for a while, and I realized at some point I was just leaving everything on the mat, and so one of the first things I took home with me was a squat. And then, you know how it's taught in yoga, they call it malasana. So malasana is a very wide-legged pose, and it's in the wild. When it's done naturally, you'll find it in marketplaces. People sitting on something and working on something, cobblers. Oh, here you can see I have arthritis in the big toe joints. I'm 65 years old, by the way. I have arthritis in the big toe joints. I have no range of motion in the big toe joints. When I do my jump backs, you're going to see me do a jump back soon. But I do not land on the balls of my feet. I recommend that you do not do that either. It's not good for the ball of the feet. This is my modification for that. I work off the tops of my feet. So I can basically go into any yoga flow, vinyasa yoga flow, and adapt any class that I take to my liking. I do a lot of squats. I like to use a support for a squat. I don't have a yoga block with me, so I'm using this bench that my grandkids have. Oh, I'm just noticing now that my head isn't in the pic, so I'm moving it back, the mat back. So this is some of the flow that I do there. See the jump back on the top of the feet? That's a great core workout. I don't believe in core workouts, but that's a great core workout. I will do them. I personally, I think that yoga's fake. It's contortionism. What I'm trying to do is bring natural body movement into yoga. The way our bodies were programmed to move before we sat in chairs and wore modern shoes. The two best things you can do is stop sitting in chairs. I don't sit in chairs. I do my best. I mean, I have to because they're everywhere, but in my house, I've taken the chairs out. I'm just going through some regular yoga stuff that you see in every class. I don't like to do push-ups or chaturanga. My shoulders can't take it. Push-ups, I think, are irrelevant anyway, so I don't do them. I see guys my age pounding away on push-ups in yoga class. Meanwhile, they're stiff as a board. They can't move. This is all about maintaining fluidity as you age. And you can be super fit, and I see super fit people all the time. The women are more flexible than the men, but the super fit guys are so tight. They just can't move. It's crazy. So you can be super fit. You can do CrossFit. You can do yoga. You can do all that stuff. But yoga is probably the closest thing. It's just not close enough. What I'm trying to do is incorporate natural body movement into yoga. And I still have a lot of yoga in yoga. But in the flow that I do, like for instance, this is a ground sitting posture. I do a lot of this at the house. So when people in class, I'll just do this instead of something else. Here I am going into some sort of crow. This side I'm not great on. I didn't put the knee on the elbow. You can see that. And I'm thinking about that right now, why it sucks so hard. That's a move. That's an Ashtanga move, but it's done on the top of the feet. I always like that move. I always stealing stuff that I see. I always try to sit in the back, practice in the back of a class so I can see what's going on in class and just look and see if anybody's got any moves that I could copy that I like. Constantly stealing. I keep a kill list. Kill list are people that are better, equal to or better than I am, and that's a place of honor for me. For anyone that's on it, because I can learn from them. And I'm constantly learning because I'm constantly watching. So here I'm going to do it on this side. This side is much stronger, my crow, and this side. Oh, here. This is another thing I've been doing too. Notice how I reach with my left arm and grab my left shin, and I've got my right hand in the crook of my elbow. Here I am taking my belt off. I'm ready to beat somebody with it. Now I'm going to go into crow. This one's much better. I'm much more confident on this side. I got to figure out the other side. There's that jump through. I like to do a lot of squatting. My squats are different than malasana. My squats are what you would see a toddler do, which is a natural squat. The one they teach in yoga, the malasana is not a great beginner squat. And I see all sorts of goofy stuff going on in yoga classes. I like to do this bind in tree because I have issues with my shoulders, holding them over my head from skateboarding injuries and just falling. I do a lot of falling because of the stuff I do. Oh, so I took Bikram for a while. They really don't understand this pose at all. What a mess. They really like to bend into the low back. I don't understand it. I would never do that. This is a good modification if you have tight hamstrings, which most of us do. You keep a straight back. Here it is from the front, my squat, you can see. It's very relaxed. You want to be relaxed. You want to be able to hold it for a long time. But what's even more important, which is what I just did, which is I got up out of the squat. That's why I sit on the ground, because you want to get up and you want to get down. And that's what the chair does, is it doesn't allow you to do that. So you don't build up that strength. The next thing you do, you're falling when you're like 70 and 80, breaking your hips and stuff. Yeah. Yeah, you want to keep straight back in this and not ever put pressure on the lower back. I'm not a big fan of forward folding. That's why I go into a squat. Squat's much more relevant for me. But I'm doing one here. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. So I go into lotus, and I like to do this. I slowly, and I have some muscles like my hamstrings I cannot stretch. I've been trying to stretch for 20 years, and you just saw my forward fold. This one, though, this stretch, I can easily get into. It takes a few minutes. Yeah, this is good because it helps me with my lotus, sitting up in my lotus. That's why I like this. Yeah, one of the biggest mistakes I see people when they sit in lotus is the knees are high, and the knees are high and the lower back is really bent. They're slouching forward, and then, they've got their hands on their knees with the mudras, and it looks so ridiculous. You got to get your butt up in the air if your knees are not down on the ground. You got to get your knees down on the ground. It all depends, you just need to be aware of what your body is up to, what it's capable of, and I'm just slowly chasing this line. I'm going to my edge. There's discomfort involved. There's always going to be, there's a nice straight back. That's what you're looking for, the knees down and a straight back on this. This is a pose. This is not a natural pose. It's a fake pose. It looks good. It's not natural. And that's it.